much playtime sana. Okay, so apologies for that. Tutaanza tu maybe Marlin ulikuwa comment on Kenya 7th squad that was named hapo kwa leo, imenemiwa leo. So again, besides maybe naming the squad, they have gotten an extra millions, that is 1.6 million to boost them to the final legs. Maybe hizo development unazungumziaje?
I think one thing the union needs to consider here is we are not only playing sevens in Kenya, so there are other disciplines of the game. There are the ladies, 15s, under 20s, who else? Maybe under 15s. Every other discipline needs that support. For sevens, they have maybe enough, so I think the union should also consider these other disciplines when sponsors come in.
Okay, labda wanasema Simba sama the nini kifika pia wata unveil na unveil the sevens.
Lakini unajua Kenya ni tukifika hapo ndo tutajua. But now that it's there, they should consider. I'm sure the sponsors don't come knowing whatever is on the table. It's the union to tell the sponsors we have this and this needs which are supposed to be catered for. So yeah, because I think right now the Simbas are supposed to be prioritized because we want to qualify for World Cup. When we qualify, good things will come on board. So the much we invest will give us the reward maybe we need. We should not wait for them to fail, then we start criticizing, yet we have an opportunity to invest there and we are doing nothing about it. So
okay, I saw maybe the previous chairman Gangla, yeye ali put more money, I can ensure that team imeenda South Africa akajaribu yani for us to qualify for nini for that World Cup, but it didn't make it. Do you think maybe pesa itakuwa a huge factor kutusaidia this time round?
yes. I think everyone does this for the money. It's a lifestyle, like it's like a job. So when everyone is comfortable, they'll do their part. But when we are not comfortable, kick off, you remember the last thing you saw on your phone was the landlord asking for something. So you can't be in that much.
Tunasema ndio the scenario ya Lionesses pia, because we are seeing tangu M-Pesa iruke hapo mbele pia wameruka number 1.
Ndio hiyo. Na I don't think Lionesses hata wamepewa pesa mingi hivyo. Hiyo kidogo tu ni enough to show what they can do. So imagine if Simbas are made comfortable. I think maybe even that World Cup we might contend for the title. Maybe, just maybe.
Sawa. So then kuna hizo school games pools zimetoka Malin. We had the pools zenye zimekuwa announced early this week, and teams now zitakuwa zinaelekea to the coastal region for the nationals. We've seen new faces coming up. Vihiga, for example, ni one of the schools zenye zime make it to the nationals for the first time. Then kuna Bwake Boys yenye iliingia kwa sevens and then ikaingia for the first time na kwenda all the way. So my question is, how does it take, ama ina take nini for a new school like Bwake kuingia na iende all the way, ama All Saints kama for example last year wakaingia for the first time na wakaenda all the way and they managed to win the title ya 15s?
I think the amount of effort you put on the ground in our guarantee result. Haikuji tu overnight ati from nowhere mtaamka tu na mfike hapo, hapana. There has to be some work done, and maybe they are doing their work while others are sleeping, and kudos to them. It's not a mean feat to get there, unless wanatumia zinaitwa nini, underhand tactics. Kenya apparently hiyo ni imekuwa a norm, but I hope at the development level it will not be encouraged.
Okay. So the pools you can be able to get them on our website ukienda hapo Scrummage, but pia for the purpose tu ni kurun you through. Pool A iko na Serani, Coast itakuwa represented by two sides. So you have Serani. Upper Hill will be going back there for the first time since winning it in 2018. It's been like 6 years yenye hawajakuwa ndani, 6 or 18, karibu 7 years of not being there. All Saints, first time champions last year, they are back in this competition as the defending champions. Mangu, 2-time champion. They are from Central, they are back there. And then kuna Marafa from the coast, Vihiga, hao ni first timers, Bwake first timers, Kisii going there for the 3rd time, having only conceded 1 try kwa hiyo region yao ya Nyanza. So again they beat inaitwaje, they beat St Mary Siala kwa by a 3-pointer this time round to qualify for that nationals competition. So that is it for school games. Pia kwa regionals, Rugby Africa Men's Sevens will be going back to Mauritius. That is according to the confirmation by World Rugby Africa. Na dates ni almost 100 days from now, so that is 21st and 22nd June. That will be when the sevens competition will be taking place. So this time around I think inakuja mapema before the national seven circuit. So players, I don't know what select kivipi, but this time around inakuja a bit early before the national seven circuit. So that is it for the school for the Rugby Africa Men's Sevens squad ya Kenya Sevens. Ukienda you'll get it among the featured stories hapo kwa website yetu. So Malin, tukienda kwa KRU Championship Playoffs, Catholic Monks and Homeboys will be facing off again. These teams were relegated from Kenya Cup from last season. So kupata 2 teams that were relegated from the top tier now featuring kwa playoffs and not getting a direct home semi-final. What does it mean for KRU Championship?
It means the competition is growing because a team like Daystar, I think they are newbies Apo Championship. They have not been Apo Sana, but I think they have a home semi-final. But for Koya and Homeboys, it means one of them will still have to go all the way next season for them to have a chance to qualify back to Kenya Cup. But it's said to be a good contest because all of them have tested the top flight competition and they know what they are working towards. So I don't think any of them worked all that hard just to be knocked out at the quarters. Yeah.
Okay. The other quarterfinal we have Zitek versus JQuat. They'll be facing off at Zitek Mangu campus. Zitek newly promoted, JQuat having the 2nd season hapo kwa championship.
Yeah, that's also a good match. I think they've met twice or thrice before.
Twice.
Yeah. It's going to be a good contest because they know each other, they know what they're going to come up against. It's after the transfer window, so no team is going to bring any other thing new on the table. So it's just how they prepare for the quarterfinals. And all of them have a chance to qualify for the Kenya Cup, which they have never played. So, yeah.
JQuat traveling to Shamberere, walikuja Kakamega last week. Do you think that match inaweza kuwa imeplay ama itaplay a part in how they have prepared for this encounter against Zitek as compared to Zitek wenye I think this is the after 1 week hawajacheza after 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think it will play a big role. Match fitness is crucial. So now that JQuat have been in that game momentum, maybe just maybe it will give them an advantage. But Zitek also have rested enough, so maybe if they had knee goals, they have recovered well. Either way, it is a plus, and it has pros and cons for both teams. So it's going to be a good contest.
Which team unafikiria tutaiona kwa semi-final next weekend if you are to give predictions?
Knockouts, the ball bounces either way, so no predictions this week.
Sema tu nini. Homeboys, okay. So those will be the playoffs. The matches will be kicking off at 3 p.m. That is East African time. So be sure kupata hizo match reports on Scrummage Africa on Saturday jioni. And then we have the Eric Shirley Shield playoff, Kabras versus Black Blood. Timu zako zinapatana tena.
Si timu zangu, timu ni moja tu. So venye nilikwambia last time, huwezi kuwa kwa relationship na ex wako wa 10 years ago. So yeah.
So home is home right now.
Home is home right now.
Okay. So Black Blood, this time round, the last time you guys faced off, it was a 90-point difference up in Kakamega. So this time round, it's a knockout game. Do you think watakuwa na a different approach to the game, maybe having known how hard maybe ilikuwa pale kwa hiyo league meeting? Do you think there's a difference that hizo days zenye wamekuwa maybe wakicheza na finalize the season zinaweza make to this fixture?
Yeah, ultimately kushakuwa na difference because they have already faced us, so they know what they're coming up against, and it's a knockout. They worked hard to be here, so we can't take them for granted. We'll give them all the respect they deserve. And yeah, if the game can get to whatever it gets to, as long as we win, that's what we're going after.
Unaweza kuwa uko disappointed that mkupata a direct home semi-final?
Not really. I told you the game the rugby ball bounces either side. From our end, tunaweza kuwa na reasons zetu, but ni rugby, there are 3 results you get. You'll win, you'll draw, you'll win, you'll lose. It's how you take it that matters. If you take it as a loss, you put yourself down. But if you take it as a lesson, you still have a fighting chance. If we finished 6th or 8th, for as long as we still have that fighting chance, we are still in contention. So we can't take it in a bad way.
Okay. Unanikumbusha 2016 Kabras, I think he finished 5th or 6th, then ended up being champions. Okay. The other semi-final is a repeat of last season. Kukuwakumbusha tu maybe on the journey that last season pia Black Blood were at this stage, but ilikuwa vice versa. They faced Menengai Oilers at this stage but lost last season. This season wako against Kabras. They'll be facing off in Nakuru at 1 p.m. So if you are in Nakuru, you can be able to watch that match up as a curtain raiser for that Kenya Cup encounter. Nondis versus Kenya Harlequin will face off at the race course at 1 p.m. pia. Nondis again na Queens waki renew rivalry. Is there something maybe unaweza sema about this encounter?
I think zinaitwa Ngong Road derbies. Any match they face off, ikuwe league, ikuwe playoffs, it's always a derby. So I guess itakuwa cracker. Kwanza the ESS sides ndio ukuwa na fight kwa sababu ni young blood, not so much experience in the top flight, so it's just chaos and a chance to win. Yeah.
Okay. Then some updates too. Menengai Oilers right now before those playoffs may receive a major boost. Some of their key players coming back. That is Ibrahim Ayo alikuwa na ka suspension at some point akipata red card I think game ya Nondis. And then we had Samon Somu who was I think picked a knock versus South Coast Pirates, so he missed the Enterprise Cup match, so he's back. And then we have Emmanuel Mulindo and Abtualib Wesonga when you missed the last 2 matches, so they are back for this encounter. So I think Oilers watakuwa na like almost the squad. I think mtu mmoja watakuwa na miss sana ni Abukus traveling with Kenya Sevens. And then kuna women's pia playoffs zitakuwa zinaingia this weekend with a number of matches. We have NYS taking on Rongo, and then Northern Suburbs will be taking on Impala. Kwa playoffs, kwa semi-final, winner Mwamba will face NYS. Mwamba will face the winner between NYS ladies na Rongo, and then Kenya Harlequin will be facing Northern Suburbs versus Impala. Queens, their first season kwa Kenya Cup Women's, na wana make it to the semis direct. Then Mwamba, who are the defending champions, washachukua repeat if I'm not wrong, ama ni 2 times. They are there pia chasing it. Is there something maybe unaweza sema about the women's league at this point, especially in regards to Queens having their first season and going all the way to the semi-finals?
I think a little more investment should be put into the women's game, because I think Impala missed like 50% of their games this season. I think they had issues or something, but they made it to the playoffs. So it means the competition maybe is not really there, or maybe they're that good, maybe they are, but a little investment so that the matches can be honored. The more we play, the more the game grows. Like right now, the ladies team will be participating at the top flight sevens, so we need more resources there. The team will not just stay to the 12 players, the 12 girls who went to South Africa. We need backup. Rugby is a game. People get injured, people get busy, committed. Their ladies, some will get pregnant. Yeah, so we'll still need backup to replace them.
But I was talking to a coach akiniambia the problem inakwanga for ladies ikikuja especially yenye anakuwa mother, that means you are going to miss her for almost 2 seasons ama hata 3. So that is a very big challenge kwa when it comes to having maybe ama building up a squad ya madem. Na last season kitu yenye ili happen ni hii season tulikuwa na some maybe different thoughts, especially wakieka league unapata like Mwamba have to travel to Rongo, sijui team gani inafaa ku travel to nini. Do you think ilikuwa ishafika that time ya women's league kukuwa na those long travels, na maybe because the previous season wali split wakasema kuna western zone na this other region na Nairobi I think region, and ukapata Nakuru walicheza, but this season sijaona Nakuru wakiona most of the matches. Impala ndo hiyo, at some point yes walikuwa make very good signings that could win the league, but at some point walikuwa boycott, ni kama wakakuja waka negotiate ndo they came back. Walikuwa na issues in terms of coaching na hizo vitu zote. So do you think kusplit ama kutravel all the way ndio then you need to go right now, especially that finances ziko fit, na tunaona pia even Kenya Cup clubs are struggling in terms of finances kwa men?
Yeah, I think it's easier to play regionally, then the playoffs teams can travel across. It's easier that way to honor the fixtures, but this way you have a game here next week, you're traveling to Nairobi, next weekend to Nakuru, and there's no support from maybe the union, there are no sponsors for the league. It's not wise. It just demoralizes the girls. Most of them will just see like there's no reason to play this game, so what I opt out. I think the regional way ni better.
Okay. So let's wait and see vile hizo playoffs zitaenda, but Queens and Mwamba already pale kwa semis za the competition, so we will be waiting to see vile ita pan out, because pia Malin na crew yake wako na zoezi leo, wanataka kupangia black blood so I think tuna harakisha kidogo, and then we have the Kenya Cup playoffs this weekend. Menengai Oilers, we've been looking at the statistics hapa, and the top score the best scoring sides unapata KCB was first, Kabras second, yes, alafu Nini came third, inatoja Menengai Oilers. Kwa defense, Kabras first, KCB second, Menengai Oilers third. So somebody alikuwa amepost social media Menengai Oilers are tired of being third in everything. So I think facing Black Blood, it will be a chance maybe to go back to make amends and go back to that semi-final whereby they'll be facing the winner between KCB. They'll be facing KCB, the winner of that match. So last season, same fixture, this season, same fixture, but in the regular season, Oilers put 50 points past Black Blood. Do you think, again, Black Blood wanaweza cut down the gap, maybe pull a surprise in Nakuru?
It's the playoffs once again, venye nimekuambia. Blood have had a chance to train for, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. 2 weeks they are not playing Enterprise Cup, so they've had a chance to work on maybe their mistakes, to work on whatever they are going to put on the table. Maybe for Oilers, if they look down upon Black Blood, they might focus ahead on KCB and forget they have a game against Blood. That can give Blood a chance maybe. But if everything is set on the table, I think Oilers have a chance.
Ngong Road Derby pia the other side tumekuwa na that meme ya home of Nondis, and then Nondis having beaten Queens tangu wakuwe promoted in all the meetings. This time round, are we going to see maybe a different scenario for Paul Murunga's side? Temenye walishinda sevens, by the way, many people wali put them as contenders, but wakafika mahali waka lose 4 consecutive matches, of which pia kulikuwa na some scoreline kama ya Nakuru. It was not wali miss kupick bonus point. So some of the performances zenye maybe many people never expected from Queens, especially after kushinda National Seven Circuit, because wakasema okay, most of the back rows and maybe the back line watakuwa ndio hao watakuja kwa nini kusaidia the team in the longer version, but imekuja kwa a different scenario. But now the playoffs, vile umesema, anybody's game, time to maybe a chance to change things for them. Do you think Queens wanaweza make it right this time round and come to Kakamega for that semi-final?
Maybe they can, considering, but it's a tough match. They say you are as good as your last performance. For both teams, I think their last match they suffered a loss, so both teams will be bouncing back from losing. So it's supposed to be one good match. Yeah.
Nondis back-to-back losses. Wanasemanga winning becomes a habit. Losing pia inaweza kuwa habit.
Yeah, nakuwa habit pia. Ina depend na how you take it. Ukichukulia ni that's you, that becomes you. Ukichukulia ni lessons unaweza pick from hapo, you collect yourself. Yeah, wanasemanga when a winner falls 7 times, he rises 8 times. So the 8th time lazima itakuwa glorious.
Okay, so pia kwa playoffs this time round umesema predictions no.
Yeah. Predictions not a predict next week.
Okay. So I just wanted to bring in coach Carlos kidogo. Maybe aongele the regular season because I know they want to go for that training. So I won't take much of their time. But Coach Carlos, thank you very much kupitia hapa Zabab Studios. By the way, Zabab Studios is where we are shooting this, na iko na very good accommodation, so if you want to come maybe kulala, if you'll be coming for that semi-final, that final, kama coach atakuwa naileta in Kakamega, then this is the place to be. Wako na very good rooms, very good place, cool place away from the CBD penye unaweza tulia. So coach, first things first, once again topping the table, this should be the 3rd time you are doing it for since you were appointed head coach. So what kind of work do you put in to ensure that this team ina remain that way na kuwa able to top the table? We've seen you've topped the defensive again for the 3rd consecutive season, though this time around maybe it moved to 89 points.
Yep. First of all, let me take this opportunity to thanks for having me. This is actually a really nice apartment, 5-star. I would really recommend for all the fans from Nairobi, Nakuru, anywhere around the country that will be coming to watch our games in the near future to come. They are nice Airbnbs. Don't ask me, I've never been to one. I've got my own home here. But yeah, I think first and foremost, one thing that when I took over the coaching reins, I think there were 3 different aspects that we needed to change in the entire team. I think one was the professionalism that we pride ourselves in. We first looked at what seems or what was the cause for the past failures that we've had. I think those were the lessons that we took into consideration. Then we brought professionalism, which started off within the technical group. We then separated our roles, and then we gave definitions of our roles, and then we started moving from there. We moved into leadership groups, and then we started defining those leadership groups. And I think we also followed the norm that has been created around the world, where I think we were going through a transitional stage when I took over, where the previous head coach had left, and then the previous captain had left. So there was quite a lot of work to be done in the transitional stage, where when we looked at the leadership role, what we had done is we had discarded this issue as senior players, and then we opted for leadership roles, and then we opted for drivers for different departments and everything. So now each and every role had been now defined, each and every leadership had now been defined, and each and every role now had its own aspect to lead. Now each and every time we needed to now come and redirect how do we approach now our practices, what style of practices are we conducting. So quite a lot of things. Then we went into details of now we need to invest in, if we're talking about principles and values, that comes with all of this aspects that I had spoken about earlier, of redefining roles and redefining the direction that we want to take. So I think one of the main aspects that the EXCO and the leadership of Cabras had brought in was we are giving you guys free role to reign and run this, but we need results. So this is why we had to be very direct about our way of going about business, you know. So we had to underline a lot of aspects. We've got something we called the yellow book that was brought by our previous chairman, which we didn't discard, but I think we kind of just set it aside in terms of, because of the transitional stage that we were going through, we needed to redefine our new roles and new ways of going about, and a new direct approach. And one of them was winning at all cost. But winning at all cost, what did it entail? You know, so we had to have our principles that we will live by, and then we went about our values on how those principles need to come into play, you know. But it's a long, rich history that found ourselves where we are today. And I think mostly it is one of the most direct way to answer your question: how did we able to maintain and sustain this approach, or this winning formula that we went about it, you know? The saddest part is that people come around and keep talking about that money is playing its role, finances. In a long shot, it's true, but it is about the direct approach of how that has been done, because I can sit here and tell you that Cabra's budget was almost double of what we have currently, because of the financial constraint that Kenya is going through. A lot of budget cuts have been going through, not just for us, but everywhere. So you can imagine that, for instance, we've not even taken into consideration that we've been wearing the same strip for more than 2 years or 2 seasons, but other teams have been chopping and changing strips around us. But that is not our focal point. Our focal point was what we need to do on the field, and how we conduct ourselves off the field, and then what is to come. So, look, I don't want to come and sit here and say we are not privileged than other teams, but I think it also comes with the mentality, and it also comes with the approach. There's a lot of hard work behind the scenes. I mean, you can go and sit and look at how we define and direct our practice sessions. I've been around. I don't think there's any team that has any practice plans like we do. I don't think there's any teams that practice the way we do, and that amount of time we put on players. And then also, I mean, there comes a time where also people thought when I got here I was crazy when I started playing 20-year-olds continuously in the beginning of the season, giving sabbatical leaves for players. For the 1 year, we gave George Nyambua an entire season sabbatical leave. JK left and went home for almost a year, and Dabeni Tugisa didn't play almost the whole season. And then we started playing players like Valerian. We started playing players that today are household names, very young, you know, giving these young players opportunities, the unknowns. And then, for instance, even making wholesome changes at halftime, bringing a new pack within halftime. It was an unknown thing that we brought about, and then we gave players that you find now in 3 years' time. Those players are the ones now defining and winning us Kenya Cup, and it is actually the integration of the consistency and continuity that we wanted to sustain, because my goal was to have a 4-year sustainable plan with the succession plan, with the youngsters and the development that we have. But now you can come and sit here and you hear people say we not performing to the ability that we were a year or two ago. But now people are forgetting that Cabras in the last 2 years, I can make an example for about 2 players. For example, Orege and Very Young and who else? In 2 years, they've played all 13 games of Kenya Cup, went on to represent the national team. This is now April. In June, July, they were national team. Come back in July, they play the entire 7th circuit. In August, they back into an off-season program where in November, they're playing another first game of Kenya Cup. This is a 2-year circuit that these players have not received any pure sustainable rest. You understand? So in all respect, majority of our players, for instance, if you look at a player like Majilwa, who's been playing for the last 10 years, has only started sustaining an injury in his 10th year, because now he has been playing once more, playing Kenya Cup straight into the national team, you know. And like Marlon has said earlier on, you know, there's a certain amount of backing from the union, and also realization that the players also need some rest. And that rest, I know a lot of people want a lot of breaks, but it's not sustainable for that long. And I think one of the biggest, I cannot talk about other teams, but I think one of the biggest failures of some other team that I don't have to mention is that they didn't have a succession plan for after a period of time, and then hence a sudden drop of performance. And then now people start blaming coaches, and they forget that the pressure that was put on the coaches for success also had no timeline or no breakages for players to rest. So it's a double-sided knife or sword, where sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and then for us, one can say was the time where you find that the guys are showing slight signs of they've been playing too much. They need a bit of break, and which we tried to, but at the same time, if you consider last year, there was a super series that players were forced to play where we found that is the period of time where we used as a break for the players. So you brought in a super series, forced players to play who've been playing for so long, and again, you ask what are the remunerations of paying these players, because there's a big also misconstrued point here where people are comparing our players to South African players, to French players, English players. But if you go and look at how much those players are getting paid and what is their diet, what is the supplementation, and then how do they behave after the game, it's two worlds apart. These guys have to sustain a family, a traveling routines, and all of those things, and you expect results at the same time. So I think we can sit here all day. I can explain to you what are the pros and cons. At the same time, I can tell you for free, if we want our Kenya Cup competition to be sustainable, our league or our structure of the league needs to change, because we do not have the resources and the finances to sustain some smaller teams. You cannot have now the bigger teams that have been training for off-season for 12 weeks, and the smaller teams who have probably a 4-week period to do a pre-season, where the bigger teams have a 12-week periodic type off-season, pre-season, that guys are prepared now for an entire season. That's why we do the off-season periodic table, and then we go straight into pre-season, into an in-season period, so that you can be ready to play the whole season. But now you get a small team that has trained for 4 weeks to come and play against these guys. Brutally, it's going to be brutal on them. If you find that we can try and find a balance where maybe the bigger teams can start playing each other earlier in the stage, where strength versus strength, and then the middle teams, so that these guys can get stronger within the period, and then they won't lose as many players. And also try and help out in the financial constraints of traveling for these other teams. But it's just a penny for a thought from a humble personal opinion. It's not something I say it should happen. I'm a nobody here, but I'm just giving a penny for your thoughts. Yeah.
Okay, Coach, I know you have a lot to say, but I know, again, your training session is about to start. So I think I will let you go, but before you go, maybe to the under 20 preparations or the Simba's preparations, we should have an interview, a full one, maybe an hour or two, and talk about all these things in a session.
No, definitely. I would appreciate that.
Okay, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
So guys, tunataka tukatia hapo because the coaches have to go for the sessions, and so remember to subscribe. Remember to watch pia of the Scrum. We featured George Nyambua speaking about how he's scoring off the pitch. So unaweza pitia hapo kwa YouTube channel uangalie, and remember to subscribe, like, share. Thank you very much. Tupatane next when? Tupatane next Monday kwa Twitter Spaces, alafu on Thursday tena we back here. On Wednesday also check out for episode 4 yeah